Have you ever played Rocket Knight Adventures? It's so good.
Long story short, Konami wanted to enter the mascot wars in the 90s. They created this opossum knight called Sparkster, and he didn't really stand out that much. That's a shame, really, because this game is one of the finest on the Genesis, maybe even of the entire 16-bit era.
I'm gonna give y'all a 30-second rundown.
Rocket Knight Adventures is all about the level design. You like boss fights? Well, we got plenty. Look at all of them. You get a sword and a jetpack. You can shoot lasers out of your swords like pew, 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 and charge your jetpack and fly around like a crazy possum. It's got the music that make your SNES jealous and your turbo graphics weep. The story's a little whatever, but hey, that's not what you play platformers. Enjoy your perfectly crafted level design and, oh yeah, giant robots. It's a fantastic way to spend an hour.
I realize that I've spoken about Rocket Knight Adventures more than once on this channel, but man, it is seriously one of my favorite games. Go play it now. No, I'm serious. Pause the video, go play it now. It's like an hour. I'll wait. You didn't even play it.
The game I'm gonna be talking about today is Sparkster for the Genesis. No, not the Super Nintendo one. I haven't played that one yet, and I have like no emotional attachment to it. Looks kinda cool though. They're actually completely different games, one being a proper sequel and the other being kind of a spin-off. Sparkster for the SNES plays almost identical to Rocket Knight Adventures, while Sparkster for the Genesis is actually an entirely different experience. They were both developed at the same time, so I have no idea how that ended up being the case. Well, let's take a look at Sparkster. So this is set directly after the first game. Sparkster has already rescued the Kingdom of Zephyrus from the Red Knight Axel and some pig people, but this time around, well, Axel's back, but with some crocodile, dragon-y kind of people. It's basically the exact same plot. When hitting the start button, you're greeted with a splash logo that says Rocket Knight Adventures 2 on it. Strange that wasn't included anywhere on the US copy of the box, although there's something totally off about this splash. It's cut off on the sides and it looks like it was done last minute. Anyways, anyone familiar with Rocket Knight Adventures is going to notice two major things within the first couple seconds of gameplay here. Number one, they took away the laser sword, and that shit was awesome. And number two, you don't need to charge up your jetpack anymore, and that shit is awesome. Now, if only they didn't fuck up the controls. Now, Sparkster's all slow and sluggish. Because they removed the projectile, your sword's borderline useless. Now you just gotta charge all over the place with your jetpack, but that's gonna result in utter chaos on the screen. But if I'm gonna be honest, I kinda like that. The game is built around the mechanic of said chaos, and you're bouncing off the walls like a child at a trampoline park. Each level has secrets and alternate paths so you can experience different things on each playthrough. No, it doesn't feel like a proper sequel to Rocket Knight, but instead, a different beast altogether. For starters, just look at the character design. He went from a cute and dumpy little guy to blonde hair, angry eyes, taller, and less dumpy.
I'm just gonna blame this one on the 90s. Sparkster simply became radical.
On the other hand, just like Rocket Knight Adventures, Sparkster exceeds in its level design. When putting each stage in the game next to each other, you wouldn't be able to find many similarities. However, let's take a look at the end of Stage 1. You find yourself on a train fighting your way to the front. Stage 2, the train has crashed and stopped in the desert. And that's pretty cool, it's almost like a seamless level transition, keeping it together in sequence. But it doesn't stop there. Stage 2, you're climbing through the pyramid in the desert till you get to the top. The top is on Stage 3, where you'll encounter an airship? Where'd the airship come from? Oh, you know, back in Stage 1, you were chasing it because Axel stole the princess or whatever. From there, you slowly destroy that airship, hoping to get your vengeance, and it turns out Axel and the princess were never there. It was a decoy. Now it's personal. Sparkster gets in his massive robot and is off to the dragon people's stronghold, which you can clearly see in the back of Stage 3. Oh, who's that? It's Axel and his massive robot? Oh, you mean the robot that you thought you destroyed back in Stage 1? Okay, maybe I'm stretching it a bit. The point is, everything feels very cohesive and has a sense of fluidity to it. It shows the player that you're on the way to achieving a goal. Levels exist in this universe as a world rather than a collection of things. Rocket Knight Adventures does unfortunately suffer from that. One moment you're traveling this ice cavern only to enter this door and be submerged in water and some mine shaft. Okay. You know, it may not be really imperative to the gameplay, but it's still really cool to see that kind of effort thrown into an old game.
Oh, I should probably mention that Sparkster has some dank-ass music.
If there was one thing the Genesis could do, it was pump out some heavy tunes with some heavy ass bass. The Sparkster soundtrack really benefited from that. Despite having limited sound channels available on the Genesis, composers Akira Yamaoka and Michiru Yamane were able to create one of the best gaming soundtracks out there, in my opinion. Sparkster has one major motif that makes several appearances in tracks throughout the entire game. It's quite a simple one, but it really pumps the player up for the adventures ahead. Basically, it's really fucking good. I'm sure you can already tell, but I love pretty much everything aesthetically about this game. However, let's go ahead and move forward a little towards the end. You reach the final stage, beat up Axel, and move on to the final boss, King Gadol. He's actually a pretty neat boss fight because he switches places with you, kinda like Captain Ginyu, and you have to fight yourself for a little bit. It's pretty cool. Anyways, after you beat him, the island explodes and credits. There, you beat the wait, what's that? That's it? Oh, that's right, this is a Konami game. Just like the original Rocket Knight Adventures, you have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty in order to get to the true ending. Sparkster, however, decided to take this a step further. In each level, there's a hidden sword that you have to collect, including one from Axel that makes for a total of 6. Oh, but wait, right when you hit the start button at the beginning of the game, you're taken to a little prologue where you get to fight Axel in a mech for the first time. If you skip it or fail, you're not gonna get it. Granted, it's not hard, but I would have liked to know that. I thought it was just a little introduction to the game, not a required course to pass. So anyways, you get all 7 swords and you're at the final level. Suddenly, Sparkster turns into... He turns into Gold Sparkster.
7. Like Sonic.
You know, I've heard the term Sonic clone thrown around with the Rocket Knight series, but this is just ridiculous. I'm starting to realize exactly why this franchise died out in the 90s. I can see why some people would think it's a bit of a Sonic copycat. And truth be told, it pales in comparison to Rocket Knight Adventures. And maybe that's its biggest problem. They give you some, but they took too much away. Rocket Knight Adventures is tight and precise. Sparkster is fucking... If you were to hop onto this game immediately after playing Rocket Knight, Sparkster feels like it was in the process of physical training after a surgery. It's as if the player is being handicapped but given an electrical wheelchair to do donuts in the parking lot. Sparkster kinda lacks a coat of polish. The controls are a bit stiffer and there's a noticeable amount of slowdown at times. It all just comes down to it not being as fun to control.
I miss the laser sword.
I still enjoy the game, but it doesn't have the same feeling and tightness that pushed its predecessor into classic territory.
So that's Sparkster for the Sega Genesis. It really is a good game, it's just a few steps shy of being great. Maybe some more levels, maybe some more bosses, maybe not making the game so hard, maybe not super I got one more game to play, and it's not the Super Nintendo Sparkster. It's the 2010 reboot, simply called Rocket Knight.
Well, looks like this game did end up getting a sequel after all. Took him 16 years, but hey, whatever works. Let's see how it is. It's boring. Hey guys, thanks for watching, sticking around. I didn't know you cared about Sparkster. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're just watching me because you like the way my face looks, and that's kind of cool too, I guess. Special thanks to Chris, Ian, and Jack for helping me out with my script this time around. I know it was a little bit different, but it was a lot of fun to do. Remember to subscribe, and I'll continue to make videos, and I'll make you happy.
I love you.
So yeah, that's Sparkster for the Sega Genesis. It really is a good game, it's just missing a couple elephants that prevent it from reaching classic status.